Hey guys, Miss Osuna here. Today we are going to sketch a face and then we are going to do colored pencil and marker to color it. So let's go on ahead and get started. Start off with your oval, and my oval from top to bottom is approximately 6 inches tall. And then divide that in half horizontally and vertically. Then divide the top section in half horizontally and the bottom. Okay, so now we're going to start with our frown, and that's on the eye line, and that's the top of our eye line, and that's the top of the eye. And then for that bottom, we smile. So at the center of the eye, I frown at first, so we have a teardrop shape at the center of the face. And then of course we smile after that. Parenthesis shapes for the center of our eye and our pupil. So you absolutely can achieve these looks. Just practice your basic shapes like parentheses, ovals, and longer parentheses, shorter parentheses, etc. So here it's a frown for the top of our mouth and then one right under it. And then at the left and right edge, we smile. And then for the bottom lip, we are smiling and we left a gap in the middle because her mouth is slightly open. Then decide where you want to put the smile and then the frown on the left and the right for the nostril. And so when you do the smile for the bottom lip, just make sure that they come more narrow at the left and right edges. Now do your frowns for your brow, and once again, darken the top of that eyelid going back and forth, and then smile at the edges for some lashes and frown for lashes that go downward. So I'm darkening here, go back and forth with the frown for the top of our eye that gives mascara, and smile at the edges for some lashes on the top, and then frown downward for some lashes on the bottom. Darkening the center of the eye with a comma shape, and then decide how far you want the face to be from the eye. Just 2 soft parenthesis shapes to start, and then drag those downward toward the chin. So you can see the top of the line where the mouth is where you stop on the right side. Now you can just continue and drag that down and square off your jawbone. So I've given her a chin that's short, and her eyes are wider and they're spread apart. Now for the ear, of course, it's a frown at the eye line and then a smile at the bottom of the ear, which is where the nose is. Put in your parenthesis shapes for the neck. So this particular way of sketching, you're just using frowns, shapes, parentheses, things that you're familiar with. Just darken in those brows by filling in this frown shape downward, as thick or as thin as you'd like. I am going to keep mine a little bit more on the thin side for now. And remember, this is just our initial sketch on regular sketch paper. After we're done, we'll trace this sketch and then rub it onto our marker paper. I'm just going to toss in some lines for hair, although that's not the focus for this particular sketch. We're doing the tutorial on the face only, minus the hair. But you can see these are still those same parenthesis shapes. And of course you can pause the video and repeat. I am just going to loosely drag this in. Here's the secret. If you draw a face and then you separately draw the hair, you can always use the same face and change the hair. And so that's exactly what I'll be doing on this tutorial. So you'll see later on when I trace off the face, I'm not going to trace the hair, but this drawing when it has the hair on it initially, just gives me the chance to move more quickly. So when I want to have a full croquis with the hair and the face already done, I can just go back to this sketch. And then when I just want to use a face that I like from a croquis minus the hair, I can also do that. Here I am just tracing the sketch. So once again, you can utilize your sketches in many different ways. So I'm just going to trace off the shape of the hair so that I have it in case I want to use it. And then I'll trace the face. And then moving forward, once I've captured it on my tracing paper, all I need to do is focus in on whatever part that I want. I could even decide, hey, I like this croquis, so I'm just going to use her eyes. And I could go back to this tracing paper and trace off these same eyes only, and then redraw a different nose and a different lip. So try to use your croquis wisely, where you can get many uses out of them without having to start over again and again and again. That's one benefit of tracing your initial sketch. So now you have a separate drawing of an initial sketch. You have a tracing that you can use to rub off onto your marker paper or watercolor paper, and then you can mix and match, taking certain parts, leaving other parts out. That helps you to move more quickly so that you don't have to start from scratch every single time. And then of course you get a variety of different looks. And here I am rubbing off that tracing paper sketch. So I just flipped it over so the lead side is facing down on my marker paper. I grabbed one of my markers and I'm just going to rub the sketch so that my marker paper stays nice and clean, and of course that I can see very faint pencil lines. So here is what it looks like. Literally, you just see very faint lines, and that's what you want so that the marker doesn't get muddied up with lead. I, of course, am going to darken so that you can see very, very well. Also, notice I just traced only the face because, once again, this tutorial is focusing on the face. But I do have the hair on the actual tracing paper as well, so I can always go back to it if I need to. Starting off with a chocolate brown, and I'm going on the shadow side first. So that is above the eyebrow and then literally left and right and up and down motions. Now I'm going to switch over and blend it. And literally I like to use the brush tip with the blender. One thing that you can do is you can also get refill liquid for your blender in case you didn't know. It's an alcohol glycerin mix. You could also make it yourself, but that helps. So now I'm wetting the surface around the eye, above the eye, below it with my blender. And now I'm going down the side of the cheek. And notice I'm doing a little bit at a time, and then I'm blending. So I'm just softening. That's how you begin the process so that all of your layers will start to blend together. Notice I'm continuing on down the chin with my blender. That just wets the paper a little bit, and then now I'll just put my marker on top, and I am not pressing hard at all. I am using very light pressure. I'm just going to continue this process down the chin, going back and forth very gently between the marker and the blender. Once again, this is a chocolate brown, and I am also not going down the whole length of the left side. I'm just going down a few inches at a time, and then right away I switch to my blender. And the idea is that you don't want the marker to dry, you want to keep it wet, so that's why we're working in sections. So just continue to follow along. I am wetting different places on the face now so that the marker will be able to be received in a soft and a wet way. All right, now I'm moving to marker number 2. So this time I moved to a slightly lighter marker. This one is a caramel color, and I'm going on top of the chocolate brown. So this is different than before. Typically, I start with the lighter color. This time I started with the darker color. And I'm only really using these two marker colors, and then the colored pencil will blend in between the two, along with the blender. The reason I switched it up is because different people see things in different ways. So I started with the darker color first this time, and pay attention to see if that makes more sense for you. Sometimes some people do better when they start with the lighter color first. Other people do better when they do the darker color first. So I'm just giving you an opportunity to see which way is going to be best for you. So for this entire tutorial, I'm basically only using those two colors. This caramel color, it's not that close to the chocolate color that I'm using, which is my second color, but once again, the colored pencils and the blender will make the difference so that it can bridge that gap between the two colors. I'm just going to continue on in the same manner, blending color number 2, which is our lighter color, with that colorless blender, and once again picking up the color from the page and using the leftover color on that marker to just very gently color slightly lighter tones. It's all about the layering. So as you can see, when you are adding each time around, everything gets more and more depth. And that's what we're going for. Okay, so I am going to speed up the process now because you get the concept of what we are doing. We're going back and forth between that blender and those markers. And now it's time for us to move on to our colored pencils. So I have a dark brown and I am gently in an up and down and then tiny little circle motion blending each spot between the dark marker and the light marker. Now that I am just finishing up with that first marker, that dark marker, I'm going to actually put the colorless blender right on top of it. And once again, I do recommend that you get the refill liquid for your blender because you use the blender quite a bit. You might want to buy 2 or 3 blenders so that your tip doesn't get worn out too fast. And then just refill it with the liquid. Or make the liquid yourself. There are lots of recipes that you can look up, but it's basically rubbing alcohol and glycerin. Some people even have used eye drop solution mixed with alcohol and glycerin. So take a peek, see if you can find a recipe, or just go to the art supply store and purchase refill liquid for your colorless blender. Now I'm just going to take my tiny teeny little circles very gently, and I'm going to continue blending these colors with my colored pencil. So the marker is able to transfer from that dark chocolate to that caramel because I have a colored pencil that is in between both of those colors. Okay, now I have a very dark umber, and this is going to be my lip color. So I'm always constantly challenging, so you don't have to necessarily use traditional colors at all. And that's true even for the skin tone. Play around. You could even leave the eyes without having pupils. So notice I'm going on the bottom of the lip and the top of the lip, leaving white spaces in the middle of my upper lip. I'm going to do that same thing for that bottom lip. And I'm actually not drawing in any teeth. I'm just going to leave the center of the mouth white. But the key here is leaving the white space toward the center of each lip. And then a little bit of white space on the light side. For me, the lighter side of this sketch is going to be the right side. Now I'm going to move on and start to darken the eye with black colored pencil, just tiny little circle on the left and right sides of our eye. And you don't even have to have the same colors. You could probably even do this with a dark blue or even a dark gray. But this is actually a black, and I'm also giving some lashes. Now I'm going in with my brown and just adding a little bit to the eye as well. You could play with these colors. You could add gray specks. You could even add purple. So really just stretch yourself and try all sorts of different combinations. And here is that dark umber color once again. And I'm just darkening the tops of our eye. This really does make the feeling of mascara and thick lashes. And that is what I'm choosing to go for. You don't necessarily have to do that. You could decide to go for a more natural feel, so then it wouldn't be such heavy. The heavy, deep dark colors make it feel much more glamorous and more made up. The lighter, softer top of the eye makes it feel more natural. Now I'm just adding in some more flecks of color with just dots with a lighter tan so that her eye definitely feels like you are looking at several different colors within. And then there is the silver that I'm playing with and adding more color and more specks as well. And now I'm going to switch back to my black colored pencil, and I will just continue this process back and forth, and you can follow along. Now I am switching over to white, and this white colored pencil is going to help me to really pull out and identify my light source being on the right side of the sketch. But I do still, of course, want to have some light on my shadow side as well. So notice here on the right side of our nose, on the right side of the sketch, I want to make that feel super light. So I'm just going to press harder with my white colored pencil. And I'll continue blending that area down. Now let's add in some brow with the frown shape, and thicker, of course, toward the nose at the center of the face, thinner on the edges toward the ear. And now I'm going to continue blending right on top of that colored pencil with my colorless blender. I'm going to continue softening, and I'll just speed it up here. All right, now we're going to go in with some black fine point, and we are just going to add a little bit more depth. Once you find out if your marker is not showing up on top of the colored pencil, just scribble it on the side of a scratch sheet of paper and it should work again. Then you'll see it shows up. Now that I have darkened the eye, I'm going to darken the left side mostly of my lip as well with this black fine point. And now I am going to continue softening the light source side of my sketch with my white colored pencil, but you could also do this with peach, and sometimes you can even do this with a very light shade of pink as well. We're coming to the end of this tutorial, and I'm super excited to have had the opportunity to work with you on creating a very tan, deep skin tone that's bronze and lush looking. I'm Miss Osuna. I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video, and until we meet again, please stay well. And as always, happy sketching!